So Gracie, I wanted to do this outside, but it's inherently windy and there's pollen flying everywhere. So I'm not going to do that. Yeah, this video is about mushrooms, of course, because you wanted to know how to grow some mushrooms, and I'm going to tell you how to grow some oyster mushrooms, which are probably the easiest. Don't have an oyster mushroom, so I'm going to use I think it's a cremini. I don't really remember. So you have your mushroom, and how do you get it to grow? Well, you need something to grow it on, kind of like a plant. You just need some sort of material that it likes to grow in. So you get cardboard, which is basically wood. You can get like wood shavings or anything like that to grow oyster mushrooms on. Once you have that, you have to sanitize the medium you are growing in, and to do that, the easiest way to do that for oyster mushrooms, since you don't have a pressure cooker or microwave, would be to use peroxide. So you take peroxide you would get at a drugstore or something like that, something like, 5% peroxide and 9% peroxide. You fill up a container, like a small container, that's going to fill a basin that you're going to soak the cardboard in. You fill this container once with peroxide and 10 times with water. So it's a 1 part peroxide solution to 10 parts water. So you fill that container full, and then you put your cardboard in there, you submerge it, you soak it for a little while, you take it out, you wring it out, make sure it's nice and, well, you don't have to wring out the cardboard, but you soak it in there for a little while, you take it out, and you let it, drip out the water, because you don't want it too moist. And after you've done that, you take the cardboard and you put it in a container. It could be just like a paper bag, or you can put it in a clear container would be best, like a mason jar or something like that, that's been cleaned well. And you put it in there, and you then are ready to add the mushrooms. So something with a lid would work. You want to make sure that there's air getting into the container, so if you do have something with a lid, unscrew the lid a slight bit so there's air getting into the container. So don't put the lid on super tight. So once you got that done, the medium's ready, it's sanitized, and then all you have to do is get your mushroom, your oyster mushroom, and I'm going to use a cremini. You tear it in half, or down, or whatever, and you take this meaty part, this nice white meaty part, not the gills or the outside, because you want to keep it nice and sanitary. And once you do that, you want a sanitary knife. So you flame the knife, or you heat it up really hot, and then you let it cool down before you cut anything away. And then you take the knife and you cut a little piece out of it. It should be pretty easy. And I got a little big gill off there, but you take a little piece and you don't eat it, even though mushrooms are pretty tasty. And you take this piece, or cut a bunch of different little pieces off, and you mix it in with your medium. So you put it in that container, and then you are ready to just let it sit for about 3 weeks, and then you go back and check it on it. If there's any color besides white, then you probably have a problem, and then you have to throw that out, and make sure you throw it out away from any other containers you do. But once the whole container is completely white, like all the cardboard is completely white, and grown over with really nice healthy mycelium, and nothing else, you take that and you take it out of the container, and expose it. You can put it into more medium so it inoculates that, and then it grows mushrooms from there. Or you can grow mushrooms directly from the cardboard if there's enough cardboard there for it to grow a mushroom and fruit. And so you want to incubate the mushrooms, so the container that you inoculated earlier. You want to keep those containers at like room temperature to incubate, or you can put it in the fridge. It's slower in the fridge. So you leave it and it incubates and it gets nice and white, and then when you want to fruit it, you expose it to a lot more oxygen, and then it usually forces the mycelium to fruit mushrooms. And then you can just cut off the mushrooms you want and eat them. And the mushrooms should look exactly like the mushrooms you bought from the store in the first place. Otherwise, if it looks like any other type of mushroom, like different, you don't want to eat it because it could be poisonous. And you could have gotten contamination from somewhere, and it, you know, will ruin your food, and it's not nice to eat poisonous mushrooms because, you know, you can get dehydrated, you can throw up, you can die, and stuff like that. So it should look like the mushrooms you bought from the store. And you cut them off and you eat them. And it's pretty simple that way, and you should have lots of fun growing mushrooms. It's fairly easy to grow oyster mushrooms this way, but you know, you'll have some failures probably. It happens quite often, and the more sanitary you can do the project, the better. There's lots of resources online for, you know, mushroom growing and stuff like that, and a lot of the websites for growing mushrooms have a gourmet section, because a lot of times the people who get into growing mushrooms first start growing magic mushrooms for some reason, and so, you know, you have to sift through it to find the mushrooms you want to grow, and then what they grow in, and then you figure out how you sanitize it, and you just set all your system up, and you know, keep a nice sanitary conditions, and the more sanitary you can do it, the more success you will have with growing your mushrooms. So, I love you, Gracie. You have an awesome time. Hope you're gonna be cooking lots of food and stuff, and I'm just gonna eat this mushroom because it's sitting here and tasty. And I'll see you later. Love you, Gracie.